Hi everyone, today is Deuteronomy 23, and I was going to combine a few chapters together, but I think with these laws and regulations, I've been reading them and also thinking about ways that I can apply it to my life. Yes, we do not live under the law. I definitely understand that. However, I think, it's important to prioritize what God saw as important and think about how we can apply that to our lives today. And I'll give you some examples as we go through this. And so it's not going to be a super comprehensive Bible study on each verse. And of course, as always, I use Enduring Word as my source, just to make sure that I'm, reading the Bible and learning from a reputable source. So also, I butcher the names of everything, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So the eunuchs were excluded and from leadership. Most likely it was from leadership. So they weren't excluded from their belief in God or following God, but most likely from leadership and leading. As I read Deuteronomy and I wondered, why it would be so exclusive, and the Enduring Word really painted a really good picture as to, many scholars believe that it was leadership roles that they were excluded from. It kind of reminds me of, like in the United States, if you wanted to become a president, you have to be born here, right? You have to be born in the United States in order to become a leader in the United States. I know that's not, the same thing. I get that. I'm just trying to draw an example. So, and then it talked about illegitimate birth, and scholars actually don't know the exact meaning of that. So I thought that was interesting as well. Edom, they came from Jacob's brother Esau, and so they were not to treat them poorly because that was their relative, if you think about it. The nation of Israel came from Jacob. Jacob's brother was Esau, as we've learned, when we've studied the Bible in previous books. And Edom came from Esau. Same thing with Egypt. Now, Egypt was where, Joseph, he went to Egypt as a slave and ended up becoming second in command in Egypt. And the Israelites spent 400 years in Egypt. Unfortunately, of course, they were bound to slavery, and then they were freed, but we already know that story, right? Because we've read thus far, but they were not to despise those people either. So it's important to remember where you came from. Remember, and treat those, especially those who are in your family, in a loving way. I mean, we are to treat everyone in a loving way, but I thought that was very interesting. Verses 19 through 14 were rules specifying how to keep the camp clean. Verses 15 through 18 were rules about a safe place for slaves who escaped. And we've talked about slavery and what it meant in that context in other books of the Bible. In previous chapters in the past. So I'm not going to, ramble too much on it for this chapter. And then verses 17 through 18 talked about sacred prostitution, and those wages were never to be offered to the Lord. And, of course, prostitution was unlawful. It was an abomination. And so some people would take that money earned that way and offer it to the Lord. And so it's something to think about, that if we're participating in illegal activity, or if someone's participating in something illegal or morally wrong, or, even if you have a business and somehow you are, not paying taxes, and so that's how you get extra income, and you pay that forward and just give it to the church, or some illegal thing, something where it's not truly honest or truthful. The Lord doesn't want that. Well, God doesn't need our money at all. He's God. But also be mindful of your income, where you're getting your income from. And also, I'm kind of thinking about, am I working hard at work, or am I kind of just being lazy and not really doing the full work that I should, but earning the full money that I am? So I know that's not exactly what this verse is saying. I know that, I get that, and I understand the verse in the context, but I just want to shed some light on, sometimes I just think in my mind and think about, okay, well, God values, where the money comes from that we are giving to him. And so I want to make sure that I'm working an honest day's work for an honest day's wage and being honest about my money. And so when I do give to the Lord, you know, he doesn't turn it away, or doesn't think, not that he doesn't turn it away, but so that it's acceptable to him. Thank you. Those are the words I'm looking for. And then also verses 21 through 23, keeping your word was so important. And unfortunately, it's something that's so lost in today's society. Even if you think about marriages, I was listening to the radio because I couldn't hook my phone up to the car speaker, and I was just bored and I had to drive somewhere, and I just put the radio on for whatever reason, and they happened to be talking about how women and their friends would help, you know, each other cheat on their spouse or something. And I was just like, I ended up turning it off because I was like, I can't listen to this. But even in marriage, like, it's just kind of like joked about, like, yeah, my friends will cover for me if I'm cheating on my spouse. And, you know, they were talking about men doing the same thing and vice versa. It was very, it was not entertaining. I listened to it for like 2 minutes and I turned it off. But even keeping your word and like your marriage vows, you know, if you tell somebody, I'm going to do this for you, do it for them. If you're going to be somewhere at a certain time, be somewhere at that time. You know, try to not be late all the time. Yes, life happens, and you know, sometimes you have to cancel plans, reschedule plans, or sometimes you show up late. We're human. I'm not trying to say that we have to be perfect, but it is important to keep your word and to value what you say and then follow through with it. So yeah, I think that's all I have for today. But please let me know what you learned. I felt like I was a little rambly, but I plan on continuing, I think, until chapter 29. I was looking at on this one page. Not that it matters, but I post a new Bible study video on Wednesdays and Fridays, and I post these videos every Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a new video, a new chapter every Friday, and I can't wait to study the Bible with you again. Bye.